Hi there, my name's Simon Drew, and I'd like to welcome you to the Practical Stoic Podcast, where I give you practical Stoic advice for modern times. If you'd like to learn more about Stoicism, or if you want some added inspiration in your day, just go to my website. It's risetothegoodlife.com. If you're interested in transforming your life with Stoic principles, then I also offer one-on-one coaching. To book your first free session, just head to risetothegoodlife.com/coaching and follow the links. But for now, enjoy this episode. Hi there, my name is Simon Drew, and welcome to the Practical Stoic Podcast. You know, we all want to be doing things that are making us better people. You know, we want to be doing things that are leading us to be healthier, happier, and more fulfilled in our lives. And sometimes there are things that we do that lead to disproportionate results, you might say. And that's really what this episode is all about. It's all about the actions that people have taken within our Stoic community that have led to disproportionate results in their lives. And speaking of disproportionate results, when I asked this question on our Facebook group and over the email list that I have, I really didn't expect as many answers as I got. And we have some really long answers and, all really, really great responses. But because of the volume of responses, I'm going to withhold my comments from the episode. And I'm just going to be reading all of the responses and letting you guys just listen to the people who have actually answered this question. And I'm really excited for you guys to hear these because I know that as soon as you start implementing some of these strategies into your life, you'll see similar results to the people who have actually practiced them. And so without any further ado, I'll go straight to our first response, and it came from Cody, who said, "For me, the simplest change with the best return has been forcing myself to change the lens through which I see the world. The external events are going to happen according to their nature. But by using Stoic practices to temper myself, I can change my perception of my relation to these events. My 3 favorite practices for this are to consider the dichotomy of control, use the view from above technique, and practicing discomfort." So Cody, thank you so much for that response. I really appreciate that. And our next answer came from Mehdi, and she said, "I've gotten many benefits from reading for 20 minutes a day by setting a timer. I am a slow reader, and sometimes I find the start of the reading process quite dry and boring. So I set a timer to 20 minutes, and keep reading no matter how uninterested I feel. This way I get over the boring part, and by the end of the 20-minute session I have gained some useful knowledge from the book. This technique also helps me to maintain a steady reading habit. 20 minutes is not too much or too little in the day, and when compounded over time, I can finish a sizable number of books." So Mehdi, thank you so much for that response. I really appreciate that as well. And next we have an answer from Andrew. And he said, "Meditate on gratitude every day for 30 minutes. I used to be a Buddhist, and even though I do not adhere to the philosophy entirely anymore, I still meditate. Reminding myself that I woke up 6 feet above ground today makes any obstacle bearable." So Andrew, thank you so much for that response. And next we had an answer from Liana, who said, "I do a couple of types of meditation. The Samatha style, aka breathing meditation, helps me practice focus in my life. I've had tendencies to get overwhelmed with my own thoughts, whether it be an overactive imagination, negative self-talk, thinking about why I like teacup rabbits, etc. And I forget about conversations I'm having in the present, or my work. This usually leads to my procrastination. Breathing meditation trains me to push everything aside and focus on what I have to do right now. Compassion meditation pushes me to get over grudges or ill will towards others. Visual meditation is something I practice in order to constantly remind myself of goals, or my ideal vision of my lifestyle to work to, goals, and personal beliefs and principles." So thank you so much for that answer, Liana. And moving on, we had a response from Laura, who said, "I'm discovering that it is all pretty simple but not necessarily easy and requires a lot of practice, self-examination, and more practice. I think that the key for me is the practice of mindfulness. Taking the time throughout the day to pause and ask myself 3 questions. 1. Am I present? 2, am I being kind? And 3, am I grateful? I have an alarm set on my phone to buzz several times throughout the day to remind me to check in. I struggle a lot with anxiety. This practice has helped me to check in with the anxiety, and I have discovered without fail that the source of my anxiety is completely attached to my desire to control things that I have no control over. When I shift my focus to the things I can control, for example, being present, being kind, being grateful, my anxiety magically disappears, and an added bonus is that my attitude towards the world and life in general has become more positive. This has also had a delightfully positive impact on my most significant relationships. So Laura, thank you so much for that response. I really appreciate that. And next we had an answer from Christine, who said, "Starting and staying with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu has given me great results. I am now 3 years in and it has changed everything. My husband and my daughter are now a part of it, and it's something that we all do together. I now hope that our 8-month-old twins eventually participate with us as well." So thank you so much, Christine, for that response. And the next answer came from Danny, and he said, "Waking up before everyone else is up is invaluable to me. Not only does waking up at 4 a.m. give me the alone time that I need before I start my day and have to fulfill toddler demands on the weekends, but I find that I get so much done before the sun comes up. This is especially helpful for people who have a day job and a side hustle, and those of us who want to train hard but also want to spend valuable time at home with our families in the evenings." So Danny, thank you so much for your answer. I really appreciate that. And moving on, we had an answer from Brennan, who said, "Attending the weekly Denver Stoics meetup group has been invaluable to me. One of my teachers in high school once told me, you don't really understand something until you can explain it to someone else and yourself. Having a space that I can look forward to each week to discuss concepts and life events has been crucial to my study and practice of Stoicism." Brennan, thank you so much for that answer. And the next response came from Gunnar, and he said, "Understanding and utilizing the dichotomy of control has done wonders for my daily life. Realizing what is within my control and what is not helps me to keep my mind on the right track. This helps me to resist assenting to the emotions like anger and impatience." So thank you so much for that response, Gunnar. And moving on, we had an answer from Dan. And he said, "Stoicism is an interconnected web of mutually supportive principles and practices. So it is difficult to pick out a single lifestyle choice that has made a disproportionate positive impact. Finally, I settled upon the practice of sitting up immediately when my alarm goes off. There's no snooze button for me anymore. I've erased it from my mind. Once you get up immediately, you have your first victory of the day. It is a minor victory, but you can build from that momentum and start accomplishing task after task after task. This really helps you to develop the virtue of self-discipline. I've come to the opinion that self-discipline is key to the development of other cardinal virtues." So Dan, I completely agree, and thank you so much for that response. And the next answer comes from Josh, and he said, "For me, it's choosing to simply accept things as they happen, especially the unexpected. This is one change that didn't require me to go anywhere, buy anything, or even lift a pinky. It's simply a change in perspective. By accepting things as they come and offering little resistance, I found that I immediately became less frustrated and angry in my daily life. Additionally, I've become way more forgiving and accepting of others. I used to be the type of person to get furious when someone cut me off in traffic. How dare they? Can't they see me here? I would tell myself. If I was very angry, I'd tell them by a means of a particular finger as I zoomed by. But it got to the point that I began to question my anger because I found that the more I exuded anger, the more prone to getting angry I became as time went on. What did it solve by getting angry? It certainly doesn't reverse time and prevent the initial incident that sparked my anger. I realized that by getting angry, I wasn't solving anything, and I was just polluting even more time by dragging out the incident by means of my anger. Time that could be better spent with my focus on something beneficial. Now that I've learned to simply relax and let things happen as they will without complaining about it, I am happier than I've been in a long time. And when someone cuts me off, I slow down, take a deep breath, and look towards the positive. Maybe they didn't see me. Maybe it was a simple mistake. We all make honest mistakes from time to time. At least we didn't collide. I'm okay. They're okay. Everything is okay. Heck, maybe they meant to cut me off. Maybe they have somewhere really important to be. Maybe it's an emergency. There is no way to tell. So I just breathe, smile, and be grateful that everything is still okay, and I continue on my way. These days, I am a happier and more patient person, not just on the road, but in every aspect of my life, including work, school, relationships, and the occasional hardships that come along with them. So Josh, thank you so much for that response. I really appreciate that. And another response came from Lauren, who said, "The most powerful saying for me has been, if it is endurable, then endure it. Stop complaining. My work takes me to a lot of different environments, and as I have gotten older, I have found myself having the belief that I need to live at a certain standard in these locations because of my age. However, being an entrepreneur and being out on my own, I can no longer afford that standard. Now I share sleeping quarters, use motorbike transport, take bucket showers, and have been using squat toilets for the last month. If I had not found this principle, I may have been mentally complaining through it all, having the previous belief that I am too old for that. I now realize that it was a super ridiculous limiting belief, and instead I am more thankful and I am pursuing my dream and I am willing to accept the level I am at right now. I have also been extended amazing hospitality by friends where I am working, and have just simply been able to live in a spirit of gratitude that they felt compelled to open their homes to me and support me while I'm building my own business. Overall, Stoicism has made me more thankful for the amazing people in my life and their generosity. It has made me feel less needy for the comforts that I've been used to, and just more willing to go through anything to the point where I don't find difficulties uncomfortable anymore, and accept where I am at. The purpose that I am fulfilling here is definitely larger than having a bathroom connected to my room, and now I don't need to mentally complain about it anymore. So Lauren, thank you so much for that response. I really appreciate that. And speaking of accepting difficulties as they come, I do apologize for the fuzz that you might hear in the background. That is a massive rainstorm that's happening outside at the moment. And I do have very limited time today to actually record this podcast, so I'm going to push through, and I hope that you guys can be happy with that, and I apologize again. But anyway, moving on, the next answer comes from Leo, and he said, "Having a good night's sleep has provided me with immeasurable benefits. For example, being more present, being less tired, being less angry and grumpy, and having greater health and weight benefits." So Leo, thank you so much for that response. And the next response came from Dustin, who said, "When I have felt off my game, whether it be at work, sports, parenting, etc., I've tried to find a way to coach someone. I played college basketball, but at 20 I quit and I started coaching. I played again at 25, and during a game I realized that I wasn't doing anything that I had been coaching my players to do. So I started walking the walk and was better than ever before. Since then, I've done this with many different things. When my budget got out of hand, I started teaching my daughter about the value of money. When I started my business, I coached my wife on hers, and everything started to come together so much easier for me. In fact, while I feel I've been relatively stoic most of my life, when I started really getting into your emails and stoicism, I signed a high school kid I've coached in basketball for years for your emails, and started coaching him on only worrying about what he can control. And it's really helped me to grasp more information, and I use it quicker and more efficiently." So Dustin, thank you so much for that response. I really appreciate that. And moving forward, we have an answer from Stephen, who said, "I have very recently started a daily meditation practice. It is something that I've been planning on starting for quite some time, but felt unsure of myself and therefore kept putting it off. I eventually bit the bullet and downloaded an app to help with guided meditations. I've committed to spending 10 minutes every morning and evening practicing mindful meditation, and even though it has only been a few days, I'm already feeling the benefits, including a greater sense of gratitude and acceptance of the present moment. I have also found that I am reacting with less anxiety to stressful situations. I look forward to progressing further in my meditation practice and believe that it is a very effective way of developing stoic practices like gratitude, awareness of thoughts and judgments, and acceptance of the present moment. So Stephen, thank you so much for that response. I really appreciate that. And our final answer comes from Mark, who said, "My main Stoic life hack is this. In the morning before I get out of bed, I mentally picture the day ahead and consider how, whether or not things happen as I want them to, that it is important that I handle whatever could go contrary to my plans with grace under pressure and equanimity." So Mark, thank you so much for that response. I really appreciate that as well. And so that is all of our answers today, and I just want to thank all of you who responded. We had some really great responses there. I was so excited to read all these to you guys. I apologize if it seemed a little bit rushed, and I apologize for the rainstorm as well. But as I mentioned, I've just got limited time today, so I tried to get it all out as quickly as I could. But I really hope that you guys take a lot from this, because there are so many great tips for, practices that we can use in our life to get really amazing results, whether that's in your health, your relationships, your family, your career. And so I really want you guys to go out and actually use these in your life and practice these principles and these tactics, because they are going to be so helpful for you. And I appreciate all the effort that everybody put into contributing to this episode. And look, I'll talk to you guys next time. But until then, I hope that this episode has helped you on your rise to the good life. Ciao. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Practical Stoic Podcast. I hope that you've gotten a lot of value out of it, and I hope that it helps you to live a better life. If you have enjoyed the podcast, then don't forget to subscribe so that you'll be the first to know when there are new episodes. If you really love the podcast, then I would appreciate a positive review, whether that's on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or wherever else you listen. Don't forget that if you're interested in one-on-one Stoic coaching, then you can head to risetothegoodlife.com/coaching to book your first free session today.